Hey everyone, Gerry, Kinsella and I are going to be touring the Garland custom area in our Garland factory in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. Today we're going to be looking at some of the design and build features, how we go from the back of a napkin sort of pencil drawing into a real world installation, and some of the innovative features on the design and build process, as well as innovation in terms of technology integrated into some of your more familiar custom Garland Island suites. So it's going to be a little loud, but I want to show you some of the details, and we'll get into it pretty quickly. So thank you.
Welcome, and thank you for attending our industry-leading Garland Well-Built Canada virtual webinars.
Hey everyone, Geoff Scott and Gerry Kinsella here again. We had a little bit of technical issues with the factory tour. There's some choppiness in the video and the audio just because the Wi-Fi signal was so weak. And obviously you're in a busy factory, so there's tons of background noise. We're going to do a voiceover on some of the video clips that we've got. So this is a nice way to kind of sit down and review all the video that Gerry and I did in the back in the factory. And so we're going to get started here. So to start the journey on advanced cooking and induction suites, we're here in the fabrication center of the Garland Lincoln factory here in Mississauga, Canada. We have a couple brand new machines here. This is as advanced as it gets in stainless steel fabrication. We've got this full facility that makes the beginnings of our equipment for our whole global market. And we're going to talk a little bit about how we stamp out some stainless and move on to the design and build portion of our island suites.
Okay. What we're talking about here is we're up in the back of the factory in the fabrication area, what we call the primary fabrication area. It's where all the cutting and punching and bending is done. In the last probably 5 years, Well-Built Garland have invested in excess of 8 million in this part of the business because they've installed a lot of state-of-the-art equipment. What I'm talking about here is the FMS system, which automatically pulls sheets out of the racks with a program. So it's programmed in, it totally takes the sheets out, cuts them, and punches them, and pushes them out the other end. On the other side here, this big white and the structure, this big steel structure, I should say, with the white machine underneath, that is literally being installed as we speak. It's a new laser system. Again, very, very high tech, quite expensive, but just an indication that Well-Built are planning to, really innovate all aspects of the business.
Yeah, so innovation's not always customer focused. It's also in the back of how sort of design and the manufacturing process as well.
Exactly, and the focus here is, obviously improve costs to provide a better cost on the product, but most importantly is the quality. This will create consistent parts and high quality parts that go into all our equipment. Okay, what we're doing here is we're basically introducing the island suite and the way we build them, and as in all cases, we always start with a drawing. So we're going to spend a couple of minutes here talking about the drawing, the details on the drawing, and how the revisions work.
So what happens here when you have a drawing like this?
When you have the drawing, this is the drawing that's been, made up and revised probably a number of times, and then finally signed off by the end user to say that is what they want. Until they sign that drawing off, we cannot start any production. So the drawing is very pivotal.
Right. What does this drawing have to do with innovation? How do they interplay?
The design of the induction into the suite is very important because there's a number of things that come into play. Specifically, can the building, will the building have enough power to generate what it needs to support the induction? This is a very critical factor. So the designer, the user, the end user, they need to know what they have available in order to specify the power for the suite and the induction.
Okay. And we're seeing in this video kind of a layout of the island suite and how it would look in real life.
Right.
So you can the designers have a chance to walk around the unit and get a better idea of how it's laid out.
Yes, indeed, they can. There's a number of induction pieces in here. We've got hobs, we've got dual hobs, and we've got induction griddles, which is very interesting because we've actually mounted the induction griddles over refrigeration.
So what are you doing here?
This here is basically, this suite is made up of one side is for the most part induction, and the other side of it is going to be all gas. So what we're talking about here is how the gas is connected into the end cabinet where there will be a single point connection. One of the big benefits of island suites is the fact that you can have single point connections because it really reduces the amount of labor from the plumber and the electrical end. So basically what we're illustrating here is where the gas is going to come through and down into the cabinet and connect to a single point.
So in that front cabinet where I'm speaking here, the gas and the electricity is all coming through.
It's all coming
So
through
that's
that
your
end
single
cabinet.
point.
Yes, that's
So
your
that's a-
single point connection.
Okay, cool.
So here we're talking about the actual induction pieces that are going into the suite and how they're actually assembled into the suite. As you can see, the glass has been put in place and sealed in with the recommended Pactan sealing silicone. Down underneath now we're talking about how we've designed the ventilation system to optimize the amount of air coming in and keeping the equipment cool. This is the filter system for the air that will slide out for easy servicing. And it's designed in such a way that it'll keep constant air going around the induction. Over and above that, we have fan systems in the back. They're a fail-safe system. In the event that the hood goes off or there's not enough air going through, if the inside of the cabinet gets too hot, these fans will come on. As I say, they're a fail-safe, rarely probably be in use, but they're there just in the event of a failure in the hood. So here's the actual piece with the hobs, as you can see the 3-point sensors on top there, and the glass will sit down and compress down on top of the hob.
So they sandwich those sensors in to make contact with the glass.
Yes, and what we're just showing there is the ventilation system underneath. As we looked at earlier, we showed how we engineered the boxes to go in around there with the filters. This is the frame that goes into the unit and gets sealed into the unit. And we're going to go back over here and take a look. So the glass is sealed in with the Pactan sealer, and then we will put the box underneath there into a bracket at the back, and then it lifts up in below the glass. Just moving over onto the griddles now, induction griddles, and this is new technology with regard to putting them in the into the suites over refrigeration.
Why is that?
Because the way the induction is supplied, there's a lot of headroom required, but we've actually redesigned underneath to eliminate some of the venting system and reduce the headroom. So now we can actually install it on top of the refrigeration in the suite.
And it gives you still enough room there, you can see, to have those front-facing filters.
Exactly. You can put all the same system that we've just put into the glass hobs. The isolation, you can see the isolation breakers and all the fan and venting system.
Oh, here I'm getting in your way.
Gerry mentioned the induction griddle. Sometimes there could be some confusion when you first hear about induction griddles. But what it really is, it's just a hot griddle surface. The induction comes from underneath and heats the griddle plate. So that griddle plate is going to not only heat remarkably fast, as does induction technology, but it also will recover that heat. So when you're loading this griddle up with a lot of product, that heat's going to recover that much more quickly.
As you can see, we've got these brackets on the back. The clips are going to be put on here, and all of the wiring, the BX cable from all of the induction, will be wired in there to a single point down into where the panel is. What I'm pointing to here now is there's venting in underneath here. So we have the
Venting in that lip in the
in
back.
the lip. Yeah, here we go. Here you can see where the venting is, and there's two things happening there. You've got the venting that's pulling the air that's being fed in at the front, and also there's a lip, as you'll notice, there's a lip over the vent, so that in the event of any liquid getting over the back of the unit, it'll be deflected away from the induction unit, because we cannot have any liquid of any kind going inside the induction unit. So
Yeah.
that lip is very important.
Yeah, it's tough to see in the video here, but there's a little 1-inch lip or so just at the back of the unit protecting the ventilation. I'm sure I interrupt Gerry here as well, but that little lip is an integral part of the design, because that's going to protect all that expensive induction electronics underneath the unit.
So basically what we're talking about here was, we had an instance, and I was talking about the drawing being approved and nothing starting without the drawing being approved. That's not to say that, the end user can't come back and ask for modifications. It's going to add time and possibly cost. But in this event, the end user realized that they didn't have enough room in their own panels, so they came and asked us to add contactors. So we had to go source the contactors and engineer them into the other cabinets. So this was kind of what we call a running change, and it was specified, and we set it up and went out and purchased the contactors and installed them into the end cabinets, and basically solved the customer's problem.
What do the contactors do?
The contactors basically, they're the main connection to the panel. So what we're talking about here is now all that wiring from the contactors will come down, it'll all be clipped on the back and run into the single point connection breaker panels in the far end of the suite. Every wire is labeled and all the contactors are labeled. So it's very straightforward and informative for the electrician when they go to connect up the actual suite.
Right. So when you're talking about innovation in terms of the island suites, it's not just the high-tech, touch screens and Wi-Fi connection. It's that those designs with like the lip protecting the ventilation, the front-facing filters, and even the innovation behind how we design the electronics in these units that make them as innovative as they are in the industry.
So just getting back to innovation and customization, just to mention, there's a couple of other suites that we're working on where we've been requested to actually add the suppression into the suite. So basically what this does is it eliminates the suppression coming out of your hood or coming out of your ceiling vent. We will put it right in underneath the overshelf, and we'll put the canisters in the end cabinet, so that way it makes the suite look a lot more aesthetically pleasing, where you're not having pipes coming down on top of the racks. And this will basically be done while we're building the suite and be shipped with the suite.
So do you have a suppression certification on staff, or does someone have to come in to sign off?
We contract it.
You contract
We
it.
bring in a suppression company, the company that we use here for Garland. They come in and they install the whole system. The other thing we do with suites is, before we take them apart, we mark each seam with a lettering system, ABCD. So when the technicians, the installation company, take it out to install it, it's very straightforward as to where each piece is going to be set in place.
Right. So innovative design, not only just single point connection for gas and electric, every wire is labeled specifically, but also each piece of equipment that gets lined up has that lettering. So the innovation is actually really the design and the installation piece for the installer, because they have all of this information that they can make the very specific installation for each piece of equipment. So Gerry's going to discuss how to integrate some of Welbuild's more advanced cooking technologies into the Island suite.
Okay, so we're talking mostly about induction here because this is what we're looking at on this particular suite. But on suites in the past, we've also, as well as induction, we've integrated the high-tech FryMaster pieces into the suite, and then we blend them across the front. So it looks like a continuous piece, but you do have the high-tech fryer system in there. Over and above that, it's doable to add in other innovative pieces. For instance, our Merry Chef. We can add in the Merry Chef up on the overshelf or on top of one of the cabinets. Also, we can use Converterm and put in full-size cabinets as a fit-in, or the counter units, again, we can install up on top of the cabinets or even on the overshelves, and then we can design it so all of the plumbing and connections at the back again are covered up, so everything is very aesthetically pleasing, and you have a very, very high-tech piece of equipment built in.
And that's really the whole idea, is that Island Suites, not only an efficient way to build your kitchen around your cooking equipment, but they're also, you know, the showpiece of modern kitchens. Every chef wants their own custom suite. And when you can use that advanced cooking technology that chefs are looking for into something like this, you're really going above and beyond in the design for chefs looking for a next level Island suite. We're looking at some shelves here, Gerry.
We're basically talking about putting the Merry Chef. It's possible that you would probably take the top shelf out and place the Merry Chef unit or the Converterm piece on the lower shelf, so you have it at an eye level.
So what would be the height of that shelf?
They're typically around 20 inches high, the top shelf.
Off of the
Off of
36
the unit,
inch.
yeah. Or the bottom shelf, I should say. The top shelf would be a bit higher.
So Gerry and I just want to say thanks for attending our webinar this week. It was a lot of fun getting back in the factory again and kind of really getting our hands into how the equipment's designed in terms of implementing induction and some new technology. So thanks a lot, Gerry, for taking us through.
Well, thank you.
Gerry's-
And thank you for taking the time out to be with us today.
Yeah, and feel free again to ask us any questions in our Q&A. Gerry's really the world's expert on our Garland Island Suite technology, so feel free to ask away. Thanks.